Okay, so I was talking about the Cyrenaics, and something came up. It became apparent to me that this instant gratification hedonism that the Cyrenaics are talking about, Aristippus, for example, right? That this sounds very familiar. Again, this idea that we are not trying to maximize happiness over all of the lifetime, but we are only interested in the instant gratification of pleasures in the moment. And so I keep talking about how ancient philosophy is important for our understanding of modern philosophy. Well, here I think something about ancient philosophy helps clarify the ideas of Thomas Hobbes, right? So let's look at this quote from Hobbes. So this is from chapter 6 of book 1 of the Leviathan, a very important chapter that we shall be reading very, very carefully, of the interior beginnings of voluntary motions. This is incidentally exactly the chapter where Hobbes says, "Whatsoever is the object of any man's appetite or desire is that which he calls good, and the object of his hate and aversion, that which he calls evil, there being nothing simply and absolutely so. Nothing is simply or absolutely good and evil. Men call good what they want, and men call evil what they are trying to avoid. Nothing except for the particular appetites of a particular person matter." So anyway, let's look at this quote. So this is Hobbes, and as I read this quote, let us compare this to the Cyrenaic philosophy or to the Epicurean philosophy. Also keeping in mind Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics, right? So Hobbes says, "Continual success in obtaining those things which a man from time to time desires, that is to say, continual prospering, is that which men call felicity." Felicity, right? So continual success in obtaining those things which a man from time to time desires. This sounds to me very close to Cyrenaics and not really all that close to Epicureans. We'll talk about this in a second. I mean the felicity of this life. So felicity would be a synonym for happiness for Hobbes, right? Felicity of this life. "For in this life there is no such thing as perpetual tranquility of mind." Perpetual tranquility of mind. This is exactly what we mean by ataraxia, right? Freedom from perturbation. Tranquility or serenity, peace, calm, right? "There is no such thing," says Hobbes, "as perpetual tranquility of mind while we live here, because life itself is but motion. Life itself is but motion, and can never be without desire, nor without fear, no more than without sense." Notice, so in life, you always have some desire, always have some fears. The same way you always have some senses as long as you are alive. "What kind of felicity God has ordained to them that devoutly honor him, a man shall know no sooner than enjoy, being joys that now are as incomprehensible as the word of schoolmen, beatifical vision is unintelligible." So this is very important. Hobbes is saying, all this Christian stuff about perpetual, happiness of heaven, we don't know anything about that. We will only know what heaven has in store for us after we die, if there is a life after death. And while we live here, we have to basically rely in our ethics and in our politics entirely on the considerations of this life. The life after death, if it exists at all, is completely unintelligible to us. Now, Hobbes is also going to say that the sovereign has the complete authority over all religious matters, and that's also true. So the sovereign can declare what the religion of the land shall be, what kind of religious books people shall read, and how they shall read them, and how people shall worship. But at the end of the day, this question of salvation of our immortal souls, if we have ones, right? This, Hobbes says, is unintelligible to us. There can be no consensus. There can be no definitive reasons. Partly this, I talked about empiricism yesterday with respect to Epicureans. Partly this conclusion comes from Hobbes' commitment to empiricism. We do not know. Empirically, as a matter of experience, we do not know what afterlife has in store for us. Again, he says, "What kind of felicity God has ordained for the devout, a man shall no sooner know than enjoy," right? So you have to die And then you will see with your own eyes what happens to you, if anything at all happens to you after you die, right? Because for Hobbes, it's not clear if there is an afterlife. And Hobbes would say that since there is no public, verifiable experience of what happens to us after we die, there can be no rational discourse on that. There can be no consensus. And talking about the prophets, talking about the holy books, Hobbes is going to warn us against trusting them, against taking them on faith, because as we know, people can make mistakes, people can be misled, or people can lie, sometimes for a reason, right? Anyway, so I just wanted to get this out again. Key idea being, again, that for Hobbes, the word happiness has no other meaning than the satisfaction of desire after desire that we have here in this life, in this continual prospering, success in obtaining those things which man from time to time desires, obtaining pleasures of the moment, right? And this is again, I think, very much a Cyrenaic position, not an Epicurean position, and definitely not a Platonist or an Aristotelian position, right? So again, Platonism, as it's commonly understood, is based to a very large extent on the vision of the afterlife or of the forms. And again, Hobbes, as an empiricist, would have none of that. Okay. I think I said everything I wanted to. Again, let me keep this short. But I hope that this is stimulating, and I hope that you can see the connections between the ancient philosophers and the modern that we are studying.